Hey, how's it going? So I started my clothing brand in 2022, and last year my best-selling design was this one here. And this design represented over 35% of my total sales last year. So what does that mean? Well, it means two things. It means, number one, this was a really strong selling design and I want to try and repeat that. And number two, some of these designs that sold less well, I spent quite a lot of time, money and effort, wasted effort on creating these, and I want to try and avoid that as much as possible going forward. Now, yeah, it's really important that you've got a broad range and not all designs are going to sell as well as your best selling one. It's just not going to work, is it? So what I'm going to show you now is delve a little bit deeper into what I think's worked well for some of my designs over the course of the last 2 years, and some of the things that haven't worked as well. And then what we're going to do then is look at these two on the table here, which are thoughts that I've got around my next drop, and I'd really appreciate your thoughts on the direction that I'm going to take with this over the next week or so. So what is it that's worked particularly well for this design? Well, I think there are three things. The first of which is the rest day term is immediately recognizable to my target market. So VÉLOKInd, my clothing brand, it's a cycling apparel brand. Rest day is basically a day when you're not spent on the bike. So everybody in that niche immediately recognizes that, so they know who this product is for. I think the design itself is really simple and striking. There's also the incorporation of a little coffee cup here, so sort of drinking coffee is synonymous with cycling. So we've used sort of negative space there within the A to sort of introduce a little clever design element within a sort of quite clean design overall. And then we've got the Tomorrow We Ride, which just sort of brings that sort of togetherness of the cycling community. So those are the first couple of things. Third thing probably then is just the contrast. So the white pops really nice on navy, and that's finished with a little white woven label and a white logo sleeve print. So just overall, I think a really clean design. I think the final thing to say is that navy as a colour seems to work well, certainly for me at least, and it's worked well across both male and female customers. Now, I did introduce the pink off the back of the success of the blue, so if you like, his and hers, and the colours work nicely together as well. But yeah, certainly navy works well across both female and male customers. On the other hand, then, some of these designs haven't worked quite as well, and I think probably because they are too niche for a new clothing brand. So yeah, just not quite appealing to the broad number of customers that I need to as a new brand. I think what this really gives is clarity. So what I'm trying to do now in my next drop is try and replicate some of the good stuff in this, some of the less good stuff in these designs with these next two tees. So what have we got here then? Well, we've got two different colorways that I've identified from my wholesale supplier of tees. These are all organic, certified organic tees. We've got a vintage green, which is slightly more expensive than some of the other tees that I've been buying. And then we've got a cool heather grey, which is really nice. I've got some other heather greys in my range, as you'll have seen here, but this one is a little bit softer in terms of colour. I don't know if you can see that. So it's really nice, fresh colour. So one of the advantages of screen printing for your own clothing brand, as I do in the garage below where we are here today, up in my spare bedroom, is that you can trial things quite quickly, subject to me having time outside of the 9-to-5 job. So that's what I intend to do over the course of the next drop. Now, one of the disadvantages of screen printing yourself, if you've not got a background in screen printing, and I haven't, other than sort of having studied it over the course of the last 2 years, is I'm only able to print with white or black inks at the moment, just because I haven't got the time and skill to introduce multiple screens to the printing process. Second to that is I'm also committed to using woven labels on my t-shirts, which I use on the hem at the bottom here. don't know if you can see that, but obviously you can see it on these other designs as well. Now I only have black and white, so I need to somehow try and match those inks with the labels that I've got. And you know, I could invest in more labels, but I don't really have the cash to be able to do that at the moment. So I'm kind of limited to looking at black and white inks on each and seeing which works best. So where are we going to go with the next print? I'd appreciate your thoughts on this. I've created a simple design which I'm going to use as a left chest or crest print. In line with sort of the analysis of the rest day tee, I've gone with a simple, immediately recognizable print. So it's a cycling wheel or bicycle wheel. We've got the choose cycling sort of tag, if you like, which is hopefully going to have mass appeal to my target market without being too niche. And then we've obviously got the VÉLOKIND.cc brand name incorporated, which I think is really important, as well as selling good designs. If you wanted to develop a brand, when you're putting shirts on people's backs, ideally that brand is visible to other people. So hopefully it ticks all of those boxes. It's going to look something similar to this. So as I mentioned before, I can print in either white or black. I think white would not work well on a vintage green tee. So I think if I'm going with the green tee, it's probably a black ink with a black woven label, and then there'd be a black sleeve print as well over here. Now with this t-shirt, the cool heather grey, I think you could print either white or black ink on here. I think if you printed white, it might be nice, but the contrast would be quite low, so maybe the design would get lost. So I'm thinking black for this as well, with probably with a black woven label. If I'm really looking at this now, I'm probably erring on the side of going with the green tee for this design, because I think this t-shirt would work really well with a navy print. Now I'm not printing with navy yet. I think I could do it with a little bit of practice, but what I would then need to do is buy some navy woven labels as well to make that match. So that will be the next step. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please let me know which you prefer. I'm probably going to go to print with this in the next week or so. So really appreciate your feedback. And if you're interested in seeing how these turn out, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.